using lower sensitivities in this game. In fact, as you can see, my horizontal sensitivity is 1.6 and my vertical is a 1.3. But the big reason why I do that is because you tend to move left to right while aiming rather than up and down a lot more. And those are pretty important in my opinion. So I like to make sure that I have a little bit of maneuverability whenever it comes to my horizontal, but with vertical I like to be a little bit slower. That way if someone's just running in front of me, I'm not going to accidentally go way high up or way low down. The next thing I recommend is if you are on a controller, you definitely want to turn off controller vibration. If you don't understand why, it's because when your controller's vibrating, you're quite literally going to be missing shots because it shakes your thumb on your right analog stick. Beyond that, the trigger effect is also kind of a big issue. Now, while haptics may be nice, it will screw you over. As for dead zone inputs, this is where things get a little bit complicated, but I'm going to explain it to you the best that I can. So immediately, I'm going to go ahead and change these back to default, right? So we have 0, 0, 100, 100. And if yours looks any different, go ahead and start here. Go ahead and put them at 0, 0. And 100, 100 for the minimum, minimum, max, max. So exactly like I have it here, and follow the way that I do this. So the first thing you want to do is go ahead and change your left stick max all the way down to 70. There's no reason that you should have your left stick max at 100 because you want to get to tactical sprinting as fast as physically possible. Now, we've got that out of the way. Leave your right stick max at 100 or maybe 99 if you feel like you're having an issue with that very end of the aim. But I'm going to leave mine at 100. Now, the left stick minimum and your right stick minimum are where things matter the most. So, as you can see, if I kind of flick my my right and left analog stick, you can see it moving around here. If I put it a specific thing right there, you can see on my left stick, it actually says vertical axis -2. And I'm hands, oh, okay, we've broken it. I'm hands off my controller, and it'll still stay at -2 on the left stick, and then on the right stick you can say it's kind of sitting at the horizontal axis -2, vertical axis -3. So what that means to me is maybe I should go into my left stick minimum and change that so that I don't get stick drift to around 2 to maybe 4. So if you want to make sure you're not moving, you do this over and over and over and see if you're like flicking out just a little bit, maybe like pull it a little bit less, and then if it sticks at any point, so you can see that the left one's sticking at -1, we want to move that up one more, and then you just keep doing that over and over until you get it right. Now, you can see that right stick, it's wiggling, and I'm going to be honest, I don't necessarily recommend that you change that right stick minimum. The reason why is because if you're trying to get the maximum amount of aim assist, you want to use something called rotational aim assist. So you want to ensure that you're lightly moving the right, and more importantly, you are moving the left just a little bit at all times. That way you're moving a little bit. Now, it's a little bit more complicated than that. It's a lot more complicated than that. So if I was to try and explain it to you very clearly, you get very confused. We might have a whole video on aim assist coming soon. That way you guys understand it, but that will be over on the main channel. Regardless, let's go ahead and check out the right stick minimum. And for me, if I was to go crazy and figure out the right stick minimum, the most I would ever do at the max on the minimum, ironically confusing, is set that to 3. I would not go past that amount because you want to make sure that you're getting the full amount of aiming that you can possibly get with your right stick. But if I were you, and you can definitely deal with a little bit of stick drift on the right one when you're slowly turning your head, I would leave that, in my personal opinion, at 0. Moving into the aiming settings, obviously, make sure you have your target aim assist on and your ADS aim assist on. Those two, if you have them turned off, you've probably been missing a ton of shots, and if you want to feel super hardcore and turn them off, don't do that. Just don't do it. You need aim assist. Let's be honest. That's the whole idea of it. And then we have the aiming advanced settings here. Now, the couple of things that I changed. Off rip, I have my dynamic aim response curve type. That, I think, moving from standard to dynamic will make a big difference on whether or not you're hitting your shots. And then custom sensitivity per zoom. Now, I would recommend you literally just follow exactly what I have right here. So, that means low zoom, 0.8. 2 to 3 times, 0.8. 4 to 5 times, 0.85, 6 to 7 times 1, 8 to 9 times 1.15, and high zoom 1.15. Now the reason I've chosen to do this is because in that low zoom, when you ADS, you don't want to be flicking past your target, right? So what I do is I lower my sensitivity on low zoom so that when I aim in on my enemy, I actually move a little bit more like they would move across the map. And as that zoom goes higher, you need to track them faster. So when you get to that high zoom, you want to make sure you're going a little bit faster. That way you can follow them with, let's say, I don't know, a sniper rifle. Moving into movement, we kind of want to go ahead and take a look at sprint assist. Now, this is one that a lot of people get wrong, but this is exactly how you should have it set up. Sprint assist basically means that the second you push your analog stick, it will start you sprinting, as long as you have sprint assist delay set to 0. So setting this up the exact same way as I have it will be great. And it'll get you moving and faster, way faster than a lot of your enemies if you set it up this way. Now, mantle assist, I highly recommend turn that off. Crouch assist, turn it off. Corner slice, turn it off. You don't need any of those things. Slide and dive behavior, if I were you, I'd try and learn hybrid. I really don't like it. I personally would rather just do slide only. So that's what I'm going to stick with. That way you get the immediate, like, press your circle button and you will slide. Hybrid, you have to, like, I think press the running stick and then press your circle, but it's a little complicated. I don't like it, but if you can get used to hybrid, that's the best way to do it. I just tend to press the wrong button a lot. I also recommend you go ahead and turn off automatic airborne mantle, go ahead and turn on sprint restore, slide maintain sprint, turn off parachute automatic behavior. This will get you killed so many times, I'm not joking. Mantle cancels reload, that's completely up to you. I don't even know how that makes a difference there. And then movement advanced settings, we're going to go ahead and jump into here. Sprint, tactical sprint behavior, obviously set that to toggle. And then as we move down, we're going to have a little bit of a confusing one under tactical sprint activation. A lot of people get this wrong. The issue is that they phrased this very poorly. So on the right side, you can see that it says double tap, single tap sprint, and single tap run. It should say single tap from sprint and single tap from run. I don't know why they decided to shorten it. It makes zero difference with the amount of space on screen. But what that means is running is when you just like start your run, right? So if you want to tactical sprint, you want to do it from run. So you press one time on your analog stick and it will start that tactical sprint. The best part is if you have the tactical sprint assist on, then you will immediately start tactical sprinting from just pushing it forward, and you don't have to mess up your controller by pressing that over and over and over. And I'm telling you, this is going to make a ton of difference whenever it comes to you getting stick drift later down the road. So set this up, get used to it, and you will be dominating lobbies with those settings alone. Make sure you set plunging underwater to free, because usually it's set to trigger. That is not a good thing. Sprinting door bash, make sure that is set to on, and you should be good there. You don't really need to mess with any of the advanced settings under vehicle, but if you want to, feel free to copy those. Under combat, this is where, again, things get a little bit funky, but I'm kind of going to run through and explain why I do what I do. Obviously, aim down sight, you want to set to hold. Tactical stance, set it to toggle. Tactical stance activation, that's whatever you're comfortable with, but I found, based on my original Warzone 1 settings, the ADS plus down button is the best for me. And then moving down to dedicated weapon or melee weapon activation, this one is a little bit confusing. And I don't know how to feel about it. Now, there's a couple of options with it, but what you can do is set it up to one of two options. I have mine set to press the melee button, or you could set it to weapon cycle. If you set it to weapon cycle, it is considered your third weapon. So if you press triangle, it'll go to your secondary weapon. If you press triangle again, it'll go to your knife. I do not think that is a great idea unless you always have your class setups, including the weapons that you pick up off the ground, memorized in their specific slots. Otherwise, you're going to pull out your melee weapon when you do not want it. So, set it to hold melee. Sometimes you're going to punch the air, but it's better to punch the air than to be forced to have out the wrong weapon entirely. As for body shield, I like to prioritize body shield, but it's kind of entirely up to you. I just like to grab people and, I don't know, annoy them just a little bit. And then armor plate behavior, you definitely want to go ahead and set that to apply all. C4 detonation, you should set to 1 by 1. My explanation for this is so that when you toss it, you can just double tap square and it'll blow it up. Equipment behavior, obviously hold, manual fire is press. Combat advanced settings, let's kind of go over this a little bit. Weapon mount exit. Now, if you have any sort of stick drift and you have this set to instant, it'll screw you over entirely. So, set it to short delay. That way, if you get any stick drift, you have to hold that stick drift for a longer period of time for it to pull you off of that heady that you have. As for the interact reload behavior, if you're playing Warzone, you should have it set to prioritize interact. If you are playing Black Ops 6, set this to prioritize reload. The explanation is that you're going to be picking up a lot of things in Warzone, but in multiplayer, you're kind of just pushing people, killing, dying. That's kind of how that works. Sprint cancels reload, always have that off. Akimbo behavior is kind of up to you. It depends on the akimbo weapons that you're using. For shotguns, sometimes you're going to want to do independent. For pistols, it's probably better to do paired. So it just depends on what the weapons you're using are. And then you should be good from there. Now, moving into graphics setting, we're going to have some different settings than you may have on PlayStation, but follow whatever settings you can on your PlayStation, on your Xbox, and then whatever else you can't, just don't worry about it. It's just extra stuff that PC gets just because it's always been more customizable on PC. No reason to get upset, but obviously this is where actually most of the, I don't know, being better on PC comes from, is actually just being able to see things better. I recommend, if you can, get a PS5 Pro. I'm going to look into that because I saw some footage on it. It looks good on Warzone. Anyway, moving in, let's go ahead and check out what I got going on. Obviously, you want your display monitor to be the display monitor. If you're on PC, make sure you have full screen exclusive. You should not be touching anything else on your PC while you're playing the game. That is what I will say. If you can't handle full screen exclusive, you will lose frames, but you can do full screen borderless. I highly recommend you stick with exclusive. Screen refresh rate, make it whatever your max is on your monitor. For me, it's 159, which is technically 160. Your display resolution should always be the maximum resolution for your PC, for your monitor, really. So for me, that is 4K. If you lower that, it's going to look like crap. You're going to not be able to see things. Display gamma, it's kind of up to you. Sometimes one will look better than the other depending upon your monitor or TV that you're playing on. So go ahead and check that out depending upon what you have. For me, I like to use sRGB and I think it looks the best. I also set my brightness up to 60. It used to be on 57, but for these really dark skins, I'm struggling, especially like the front man and the new rose skins and all those. It has been a pain. So I've got it set to 60 as of now. For me, NVIDIA Reflex Boost, the Reflex low latency, sometimes I'll set it to on, sometimes I'll set it to boost. For me, I don't really see a lot of difference. I have a very good setup on my computer, so it's kind of up to you. At the very least, I'd set it to on or on plus boost if you feel like, that's the case. In fact, you can read under my camera here, it says on, low latency mode is enabled and optimizing system latency. On plus boost, low latency mode is now enabled and optimizing system latency. Additionally, GPU clock frequencies are kept high in CPU bound cases. For me, I have all GPU bound cases, so it's not going to make a difference because I'm playing in 4K. So if you're in like a lower resolution system and you're having issues because your GPU is too good but your CPU is getting screwed, maybe that one would be better for you. Eco mode, make sure that's set to custom at all times, because you mess that one up, honestly, there's no coming back from it. Your computer's going to explode. I'm totally just kidding. That's not going to happen. But I do recommend setting it to custom. That's how you're going to get the most frames, but your power bill may go up. We'll see what happens. VSync, keep that off at all times. VSync menus, keep that off at all times. Your custom frame rate, people are going to tell you this, that, or the other thing. Listen to what I'm saying, because a lot of people do not understand this, and even someone, I guarantee, someone is going to go in the comments of this video and say, Expel, you're wrong. You shouldn't do that. Just trust me, okay? It'll help you a lot. Set your custom frame rate limit. For me, my custom frame rate limit is set to 165. If you remember, and we'll go back up to the top, my screen refresh rate is 160. Now, technically speaking, to ensure that I'm not getting screen tears, I should set that like right to 160, but I'm not worried about screen tears, so I set it to 165. I don't want to overuse my CPU or GPU for frames that are just simply not going to help me. So that is why I set it up to 165. You should do the exact same thing for whatever your monitor refresh rate is, match that and go up 5 or up 10. That is the best thing that you can do. Now, this is kind of up to you, but optimal, in my personal opinion, for the menu render resolution works just fine. Really isn't going to affect anything. Reduce quality when inactive. I have it set to 5 minutes. It's really just so when I step away from the computer to do other things. Focus mode. If you are going to record and you have it set up to where it's very complicated, you know what? Just make sure to set this to 0. That's all you need to know. Just set it to 0, because if I explain it to you, you're not going to understand it. Most people aren't going to get anything out of it. Just set that thing to 0. HDR. This depends on you. If you like HDR, use it. If you're recording your like gameplay or something like that, turn it off. All right, because you're never going to be able to edit that and figure it out properly. Graphics preset, obviously I have it set to custom. If you really, really need to, you can set things like this. But we're going to go through and screw with all the settings, so there's no reason to do that. Render resolution, always at 100. Back in the day in Modern Warfare 2019, people used to say, well, maybe you should set it to 97 and then you'll get more frames. Who cares? You can't see anything, you absolute goober. So set that to 100. Dynamic resolution should be off. And this, by the way, is exactly what PlayStation uses, and that's why at a distance you'll be not able to see certain people, is because it messes with your resolution and it messes with your render distance and a whole bunch of other stuff, so I don't recommend it. If you're on PlayStation, you have this option as well. I'm going to show it to you. I don't know why it showed up like that, but we are going to be using Fidelity Cast. So, Fidelity Cast, make sure that that is set to 100%. That is going, if you change nothing else, anything else in your settings, this should be changed. The reason I say that is because it's going to allow you to see more than anything else. It has the most improvement of anything else with the least effect on your frames, okay? So set that to 100. I keep frame generation turned off. I keep AMD FSR turned off. VRAM scale target for me, I have a crazy good graphics card. It's kind of absurd, right? So I set my target to 70% of my VRAM. For you, if you have a lower tier graphics card in your computer, I would recommend raising this up to 85 or even 90. But I think at most, if you're doing anything else on your computer, it's probably a good idea to keep that at max at 85. I keep mine at 70 because I don't even, you can see at the bottom, estimated VRAM usage is super low. The variable rate shading, again, that's another thing that PlayStation uses to make it look like crap. Keep that off. Texture resolution, I don't have an issue, frankly, with it being on low. If you really want to go crazy, you can set it to normal, but low is good. Texture filter, I don't even know why that's on high. Set that to low. Depth of field, make sure that is turned off. Okay, depth of field, huge thing. It's going to make you miss people. It's going to make you not be able to see things on your screen at certain areas of your screen. Make sure that's turned off, please. Detail quality, I find that this really helps whenever you're close to something to be able to see it in its entirety. So I like to keep it on high. It really doesn't make a difference. Like if you change it, it makes basically no difference. So keeping it on high just feels better to me. And again, I actually have gone through every one of these settings individually and changed them individually to figure out what made a difference on my GPU, what made a difference on my frames and stuff like that. And these are just like basically what's worked for me. So maybe it doesn't work for you, but let me know in a comment down below if you're having issues with any of these, and maybe let me know if something fixed it. Regardless, particle resolution really doesn't matter, but you know, you can set it to high. It will not make a difference. I just keep mine on very low because I just don't need it. Bullet impacts, make sure that is turned on. If someone shoots beside you, you can kind of see where those bullets are coming from and stuff like that, and see where it hits, see if they're like, this is super technical, but I just recommend having the bullets there because whenever they shoot beside you, it's good to know if they're on target and things of that nature. Persistent effects, for the love of God, turn that off. You do not need that for whenever, like, it shows up for when people have those really annoying skins, basically, that are like glowing and stuff. You can turn that off. Shader quality, I have no idea what this is set to high. I think my settings got reset before this, but that works out. Set shader quality too low. You do not need that. I don't know why that would be set on. Make sure that your on-demand texture streaming is set to minimal. Allocated cache size, pretty low. You can turn it lower than that, but I set mine to 32. I've got, you know, pretty good stuff going on. And then I always set download limits. Okay, so set download limits, set that as low as physically possible. You just don't need all that. Local texture streaming quality, for you, I'd probably recommend low depending on your graphics card, but for me, I like my game to look a little bit better, so I keep mine on normal. Shader quality, turn that to very low. You don't need it. Screen space shadows, turn it off. You don't need it. Occlusion, turn that off. Screen space reflections, turn that off. Static reflection quality, turn that to low. Tessellation, set it to near. Do not, under any circumstances, for the love of God, set it to all. You will lose more frames and you will notice zero difference. Set it to near. You can turn it to off, but your game's going to look super whack. Like, certain rocks and stuff won't load in properly, so set it to near. Volumetric quality, you don't need that either. I'd explain it, but you just don't need it. You're not going to notice it. Deferred physics quality, set it to off. Weather grid, turn it to off. Water quality, set that to water caustics. If you have on all or you have on water wetness, what that's going to do is basically when you go near the shore that has water on it, you'll see like a kind of a shimmer. This is so stupid. You'll see a little shimmer. on the sand or the dirt that the water's hitting. It'll also show it on your character if you get out of water. These are things that you don't care about if you're trying to maximize your settings. So just don't use it. Set it to water caustics, because what water caustics do is it kind of lets you see a little bit better inside the water. I'm going to go ahead and apply. Then we're going to go to view. These are some other things that we need to go ahead and take care of. We have field of view. Set that to 120, okay? Weapon field of view. Set that to wide so that you can see the most going on around you. Third person field of view doesn't really matter, but set it to 90. Vehicle field of view. Make sure to set that to wide so that you can, again, see the most around you. These 4 things will make a massive difference in your gameplay. World motion blur. This is like you're turning and the world is like blurring out around you. Turn that off. If you have this on, you will 24/7 miss someone as you are turning or as you are reloading your weapon. It is not worth it. It is a pointless mechanic, and it's only there for people that want to make their game look like a movie. Don't do it. It's goofy as all heck. As for weapon motion blur, the exact same thing, but yeah, for me it just kind of makes me nauseous, but you just don't need it. First person and third person camera movement. Now, if you ever see a content creator and you're like, what the heck's going on, dude? Like, these guys look like their gun's not moving. Nothing's going on, because sometimes when you shoot your gun in your game, your screen's shaking all over the place. You're like, oh, what is happening? What is going on? This will lower that, okay? So normally it's set to default 100. If you're on PlayStation, you can set this as well. Make sure to set to least 50% for the love of God, okay? Moving into audio, let's go ahead and talk about everything in this one. That way you guys fully understand how to get the best audio out of your game. And there's a lot of different things and a lot of nuances whenever it comes to audio in Call of Duty, because, frankly speaking, it sucks. So I'm going to help you get the best that you can get. So off rip, we kind of want to talk about this master gain volume, right? So master gain volume and effects always, at all times, need to be set to 100. If you lower it, you will lose audio fidelity, meaning that you will not hear footsteps. That's just how that works. You won't hear footsteps, you won't hear maybe parachutes when they're nearby, whatever it may be. So set those to 100 at all times. If you are on PC, change it on your computer. Use your like little scroll thing on your keyboard, if you can, whatever, to change your audio in whatever device you have. If it's your headset, you might have a little scroll thing on the side of it here. Also do it there. I do recommend that you get a great pair of headphones. I do not ever recommend you get gamer headphones, if at all possible. Getting gamer headphones, you're just screwing yourself up. They're horrendous. They are god-awful. I'm going to be quite honest with you. I don't care what headset it is never good. It is never, ever good. It sucks because it's the best thing that you can do for PlayStation and Xbox, but there are ways around it, which is like getting a headset and then doing a mod mic. I know, again, very confusing, but I'm just letting you know ahead of time. Turn off your gameplay music volume, because when you get to the end of the game, you do not want to hear music over footsteps. Cut that off. Dialogue volume, set that to 50%. That's going to make sure that anybody talking in the game, not your like random players or your teammates, but like the characters in the game, are not going to be super duper loud. Now, you can technically turn it up if you want to hear an enemy character being like, "Neato," and then be able to find them directionally, but that's what that is. Then make sure you have the right device on your speaker output, your sound device. Speaker output, if your stuff is set naturally to surround sound, set it to Windows default, but if it's not, make sure you set it to surround sound for this game. Enhanced headphone mode sucks, keep it off. It is completely pointless, and it's just them trying to take money from you. Sucker Punch, in my personal opinion, with the tightest dynamic range, will sound the best in the game. It kind of smushes it all together so that it's got better balancing. Mono audio is a little weird. If you turn on mono audio, you should never have this on. For the love of God, make sure this is turned off. If you turn it on, everything will be in both of your ears. So if someone's shooting on your right, it'll come in both of your ears. So you can't hear which direction it is. There's no directionality for it. And then moving down, obviously we have asymmetrical hearing compensation, which is another big one that could be helpful for hearing someone far away or lowering the sound of the like PAs and stuff, like precision airstrikes, clusters, stuff like that. I would try it out if I were you, but I wouldn't recommend like keeping it on all the time if you feel like it's not doing much. Try it out for a game, see if you like it, or turn it off. It's completely up to you. I keep mine off because I personally just don't need it, and so, you know, do as you please. As for configure your frequency settings. Now, if you go in here, you can see you have your left channel and your right channel. Obviously, make these both the same thing unless you have hearing loss in one ear. But you can go in and you can equalize your audio in Call of Duty now. So if you can figure out which one of these is footsteps, right? If you can figure out which one of those is footsteps, and there's a ton of people that have actually figured this out. I recommend, you know, if you're trying to equalize it, do it there if you can. Or you can do something like an Astro Mix amp, or you can like do it on your PC, whatever it is that you feel like you want to do. Reduce tinnitus sound. Definitely set that puppy to on, because that'll make sure that your ears aren't getting blown at all times by you just shooting. Hit marker preset, I set the default. Moving into voice chat. There's a couple of things that's basically just going to help you while you're playing, but also going to help your teammates. If you're playing in a team-based game, follow exactly what I'm talking about. So, voice chat volume, set this puppy to 50. In most scenarios, people's mics are not set up right. Today, we're going to set up your mic properly. Voice chat, sure, have it on. Proximity chat, have it on or off, completely up to you. Body shield chat, if you want to talk smack, go ahead and have that on. Last words chat, again, I always keep that on just to hear what people are doing, because sometimes they make call outs about what they're like trying to do in the game, and having that on will override proximity chat for them, so they will literally say something and you will hear it even if they have proximity chat off, making it to where you know what their call out is. Sometimes it's goofy, sometimes it's actually super helpful. Game chat voice, I set that to all lobby, but if you're playing with a team, you can set that to friends only or party only. Voice chat output device, obviously, make sure that's your right output, which could be headphones or whatever. Microphone level, this is so goddamn important. Test your microphone real quick, right? So talk. That is what my mic sounds like now. But if I set this thing all the way to 100, which is the default, talk, it is going to blow people's eardrums. So find the sweet spot, figure out where you sound the best, and you're not like super poppy. I don't know the word for it, but it's where you're not like blowing the speakers for your teammates. So set that to 10 or 20 or 15 or whatever it may be, to where you don't sound like trash. Microphone mode, obviously it's up to you depending upon the device that you have set up, depending on your mouse and keyboard, whatever it is. Microphone input device, make sure that's set to the right device, obviously. Now, interface is going to be a little complicated because a lot of this is up to you. But if you are on PC, some of these settings are a little different than if you're on PlayStation. I apologize, but we're going to get into it either way. Visual support preset, do not turn this on. It's going to mess up every single setting that you have on here, okay? So menu prompts, I have that set to automatic, because it's actually when you're outside of the in-game experience, which means if I set this to keyboard and mouse, you can see at the bottom left, it changes my stuff to keyboard and mouse. And then I can set it to controller, it's guaranteed to be set to controller, or I can set it to automatic, and whatever device I am currently using, it'll set that up. Gameplay tips, turn that off at all times. Skip movie introductions, turn that on. Could I have been doing that this whole time? Skip kill cam, make sure to turn that off. If you skip the kill cam, you cannot report the people that are cheating in the game. Do not turn that on. Tooltips, also turn that off. You don't need it. Telemetry, that's entirely up to you. If you're on PlayStation, you only have a few of these. I think you get the server latency and packet loss. I don't keep them on. I don't need them. I don't think it matters. Usually, if you're pretty good at understanding the game, you'll get a feel of what's going on.
Don't kill me.
Network in game.
Don't kill me and I
don't need it. I mean, you can turn it on if you have a bad connection. You need to know.
Don't kill me
I
and
don't
I
have
won't
that
kill
issue.
you.
Hardware in game, also up to you. If you are on PC, subtitles. I have this only on for campaign. You don't need it for Warzone unless you are hard of hearing the people and their dialogue. I feel like if I have dialogue popping up on the screen, I will look away and look at that to read what it says instead of focusing on what's in front of me. And there's only so much you can have on your screen before it really screws up. The subtitle size, I set to default. The subtitles background opacity, make sure that's set to 0. Menu text size, default. Text chat size, default. And color customization, this is where things are going to change up a little bit. So this is entirely up to you. But what I would recommend, if you're looking to get some better colors in the game, get it a little bit more punchy. Set it to Deuteranopia.
Oh my god.
You can also set it to Protanopia. This is colorblind settings, but or Tritanopia. These are going to kind of make things pop a little bit. But I would set it to Deuteranopia if you're trying to get some better colors. Go to color filter. Oh, well, I guess you don't need a color filter. I think it's color filter 2 if I'm not wrong. I never really mess with these because I just don't like changing it. Oh, yeah. And then set it to both. Yeah, so, or you can just set it to world if you want your game to pop a little bit more, but that, and then you can change your world color intensity. So that's really gonna, like, make everything pop a little bit more. You can see the colors are just a little bit brighter on this screen, and it's gonna do that across the board. But I set mine to default just because I like the colors there, and I set that to none. And then I personally change my settings with a LUT in OBS, which is my recording software. So I don't see it that way. You guys see my punchier, like more visually appealing settings. Minimap shape. This is another important one. Set that one to square, okay? That's going to make a big difference for you. Because if you actually set it to round, you'll get, I don't know, about like 40% less of a mini map. So set that, for the love of God, to square. So, set it to square, mini map rotation. I would set it to on. I think it's the best way to follow them.
Don't let the cat outside.
You need help winning? Please, I'm a chicken. I'm dancing in the air right now. Yo, no one kill me and I won't kill you. Dude, not again. Yo, Andrew. If you don't kill me, I won't kill you. Okay, we
mini map and the best way to read it. Radar right here. This says toggle the mini map radar backing on or off.
Yeah.
If you turn this on, it will break your mini map. I don't know how they've not noticed this. I talked about this the day that Black Ops 6 came out. I said, hey, if you turn this setting on, it will break your whole mini map. And for some reason, there's a ton of people now that have this issue because they turn on radar thinking that it's going to be this, that, or the other thing. But it doesn't work. It's toggling the radar backing, so there used to be this little square around the outside. It doesn't work. It actually just...
No, dude, my name is Crimson.
The radar, which I think is like super dumb. So keep that off. Horizontal is what I set my compass type to, because if you set it to minimap, it's a little harder to make callouts. Vehicle HUD prompts, I have that set to fade after 10 seconds.
Yeah.
In-game text chat, I highly recommend you
we're
turn
on the
that off in my personal opinion. I think it's super dumb having it on. I only have it on because a lot of the times my teammates call out, someone said this, that, or the other thing, or someone says, hey, expel, much love, whenever I eliminate them. So it is what it is, but I keep it on for that reason alone.
Dude, I used to.
You do not need the full name. You don't need their clan tag. You just need to know their regular name in game. Set that to abbreviated crosshair. It depends on the weapons that you're using. So if you're using a ton of Black Ops 6 weapons, set it to static. If you are using a bunch of Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3 guns, set it to on. There is a difference, but it's really just dependent upon your guns. Basically, if I set it to on, and I'll show you right here, I don't know if I'm going to be able to explain it too well, but if I set it to on, you can see that when I jump, my crosshair moves, right? But if I go to settings and I set my crosshair to static, when I jump, it doesn't bounce around my screen. Just the outside that indicates like my hip fire range is going to open up a little bit. I do that because I want my center dot always in the center, because now they fixed every weapon in Warzone that came from Black Ops 6 to instantly snap to the center instead of randomly bob around. And so having the crosshair set to on was just for being able to see the exact placement, because that center would bob around. So now that doesn't do that, it's much better. It's basically called randomized ADS sway. So let's go back into interface. We have crosshair. I would set it to static if you are using Black Ops 6 weapons. Keep your crosshair dot set to on. Crosshair dot center. Some people are setting this to large. This will cover people's head whenever you're aiming at them. Do not use it that way. Crosshair spread. That is basically to show your like hip fire and weapon recoil and stuff like that. Set that to on. Crosshair opacity. That's up to you. If you're having issues, you can set this to like 75% or 50%. I just keep mine at 100.
No,
Do not change your crosshair color. I don't know who needs to hear this. I've been seeing content creators changing their crosshair color.
What?
It is more confusing. Because if you have that color changed, it does not change color whenever you shoot somebody. I don't know if you know this. Sometimes your crosshair will change color depending upon what you're doing in the game. So if you break somebody's armor, it pops up blue sometimes. If you eliminate somebody or you're shooting an enemy, sometimes it'll pop up red. I don't know if that's actually still a thing, but if you change the color, you could confuse yourself. So do not do that. Obviously, keep the rest of this set to on. Keep your HUD set to 100% unless you really don't need anything. Like, say you don't need the score feed. Say you don't need the elimination feed. If you really don't care, then don't do it, or then go ahead and do it. But the elimination feed, in my personal opinion, for the love of God, keep that on. I know I was like using that as a point, but don't do that. In here, dismemberment and gore effects. Similar to what I said earlier about like the persisting effects, that is the exact same thing. I say it's not the exact same thing, but like it does a similar thing. I turned it off because I hate like the explosion in the bodies, like
They'll weakness.
I don't think it's necessary, so I keep it off. Text chat, again, just a different place to do it. Feel free to do that on or off. Display real friend names. Don't dox your friends, that'd be whack. So I keep mine off, and then obviously I have my stuff open. Please, guys, I appreciate y'all. Don't send me friend requests, because I just immediately say no to everybody that sends me a friend request in the game, so you're just wasting your time, and I don't want you to waste your time. It's not me being hateful in any way whatsoever, but sometimes I get friend requests, and I have to go through, and if I get a friend request from someone like that I'm trying to play random duos with, then it kind of like screws things up, and I have to go through and I have to delete a bunch of random friend requests before I can get to it. But either way, obviously, those are entirely up to you. And then notification alerts, I just keep everything set to on. But if you don't want information, you can always turn those off as well. Now, let's dive into a game, and let me showcase to you why I use these settings the exact way that I do, because we are about to dominate.